We're back.
All right, welcome everyone to depression-youarenotalone.com. To my left is Shannon.
Hello.
To my left is Lily.
You can't see her, but she's here.
And
that's why we're off in the background.
And in front of us is John.
Who doesn't say hello.
So today it's in the 50s here where we are in South Florida.
It's freezing.
Which for us is cold. I mean, people up north would say, "What?"
Well, it's and at nighttime it's going to be like 37. So
but here in South Florida, when it hits 60, we start thinking cannibalism.
Well, I don't know
burning
about
the furniture. So for us, it's cold. So forgive us for being wimps.
It's not cold; it's freezing.
So this episode, we want to talk about something we've talked about in other episodes, but for those that have watched our videos, you maybe you can say, well, I've heard you talk about that before, but for someone that's the first time, may not understand. You know, our goal was always to, of course, reach out to people with mental illness, depression, and other mental illnesses, of course. That's the obvious. But another goal was from day one, I think from our very first video, we mentioned this, of reaching out to friends and family of those that are going through difficult times. And I feel, personally, sometimes it's more helpful to reach out to those people because someone battling mental illness understands where they are, they're confused, they're possibly not even watching this video or any video or anything because they're struggling with something. And the friends and loved ones don't understand, they don't know what to do. And this is why it's always been a goal, as I said from day one, to reach out to those folks, with the understanding that someone going through a mental illness, especially if it's severe depression, is not thinking normally, how they normally would. They're going through a crisis. They're doubting themselves. They're doubting their lives. They're doubting a lot of doubt, especially with depression. And in severe cases, which I've been there for those that know, is doubting even the reason for being here, whether it's even worth it anymore. So, you know, that's when you need others to step in and help. To have that understanding that my friend or my family member, they're not in a state of mind. They're not capable of working through this. Maybe they are over time, but we've lost too many people to where they couldn't get through it.
Well, I actually think it's important to, and it's easier said than done, and I understand that, to share your feelings with your family members or your friends or whomever that is your support group, or maybe not your support group that you want to reach out to, but those are the people that you need to share your thoughts with.
Yes.
If you feel that you can get support, or maybe you don't know.
Yes, that's you said, and what you said was key. What was key is you said it's easier said than done.
Well, it is,
and that's why
right.
It needs someone else to step in. I've been in situations where there was should we say, short term.
It's cold.
It was short term.
It's not cold.
It's freezing.
But it was short term where someone needed to step in, and I did. I made decisions that I needed to make on behalf of someone else. It was unpopular. It was a fight. It was a struggle. But I knew this. I was in a state of mind to make decisions. The other person wasn't. So it took someone else to come in and say, I've got to do something for this person because they're not capable of it right now. And that happens in mental illness, and that's why it's so important for other people to come in and make decisions or encourage. Sometimes it's not just making decisions, but encouraging. Oh, there's Lily. Encouraging the other person to take that step to get better. Because if you reach the point, and I know this firsthand, believe me, and those, again, that have watched our videos know this, when you've reached the point that it's just not worth it anymore, you need someone else to come in.
And that person may not know that you need somebody else to come in. It's just the other person has to step up.
Well, that person should know. When you know someone you care about, you know them. You know the differences. You know their moods. You know they're not being themselves anymore. They're acting differently. They're quiet. They're shutting down. That shutting down is a big, big sign something is wrong when people shut down. And it's a scary sign.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Again, this is what we've, I think, talked about our very first episode of reaching the friends and loved ones of anyone struggling with a mental illness. Because I know the importance of that. I know it, you can do these podcasts, not us, many people can do podcasts for someone with severe depression, and they're not watching them. Maybe they're not watching anything. Maybe they're sitting in a dark room by themselves with horrible thoughts going through their minds. So are you reaching them? Well, no, you're not. Or you're telling them what depression is, what you go through, and they're like, okay, got it. I'm going through that, or I'm going through this, or I'm going through that. It's not helping me. I need someone to help me.
No.
We can't hold your hand, someone's hand, that lives 10 states away, or any podcast that's just speaking in generalities about mental illness, about symptoms.
We can't hold their hand, but we can support them by encouraging them.
Yes, but we can't take
out.
on individual.
No, well, of course, that's impossible.
Case, and no one can.
No, yeah.
They can tell you what depression is, or what bipolar is, or other mental illnesses. They can tell you what it is. They can tell you what the symptoms are. But if someone's already beyond that, they're beyond that.
Yeah,
they need
of course.
help.
They need help.
So, and I've talked to other people, and they're like, well, why would you, isn't the important thing to reach out to people with mental illness? And I'm like, of course, that's obvious, right? But to reach out to friends and family is equally and sometimes even more important, in my opinion.
Now, let me step in here. What if that person that has that mental illness doesn't have friends and family?
There's always someone. And if there isn't, hopefully you call for professional help.
Yeah.
You reach out even to an acquaintance. But there's always someone in your
There's
life.
an acquaintance
always
or somebody.
And listen, there are times where there's a friend you trust more than your family.
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to mental illness, where your parents, for example, they may be older and they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. And you may have to reach out to a friend instead.
Yeah.
That's fine,
Whatever's comfortable for you.
Whatever it takes to get help. Whatever it takes to let someone you cares about you know you need help.
Yeah.
You don't have to say I need help, because if they're a friend of yours, they care for you, they understand what you're saying, that I know you need my help and I'm here for you. I know some people say, okay, I don't have anybody. Sometimes you don't know until you try.
Gotta try.
You don't know until you try.
Take that step forward.
You may have friends that, their friendships are about having fun and doing this and having fun, and you don't think that's the type of friend I need right now, but there may be that one that you reach out to that
and they steps up.
Steps up. I see it as, if it's your life, it's worth reaching out to someone for help. And if you care about someone that is struggling, it's worth reaching out to them to help them. We've talked about a few episodes back about what's the reward, because a lot of people want rewards for their actions. I think it's very rewarding just to know that you helped someone you care about that needed you. I think that's very rewarding. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
To know you helped them, to know you were there for them, to know sometimes that you were the only one that could have helped them.
Yeah, absolutely.
To me, I think that's very rewarding. And no thank you necessary, just knowing you did the right thing.
Yeah.
We've just lost so many people to severe depression, where they've taken their own lives. It's just so sad. I mean, we have enough to fight in our lives. Other physical illnesses and things we have to work through. When someone wants to take their own life, and for those that are new to our channel, I've been there. I know what I'm saying. I'm not talking to you as someone who got a degree and learned these things. I lived them. I survived them, even more importantly than living them.
True story.
I survived it. I know the feelings. I know hitting bottom. I know all of that. I know what it took to survive that. I know how much better it is when you have people around you that care. I know how much better it is when you let them know what you're going through instead of keeping it away from them.
Well, I think that's the biggest key right there is letting them know, because if you're suffering yourself and you're not exposing yourself to other people, you're not allowing them to, you're not talking to them, you're not allowing them into your life, then you're facing that struggle all on your own, right? So that's got to be absolutely devastating.
But when you've reached a certain point where you're doubting everything, you're doubting yourself, you're doubting even the reason for living, you're not thinking like perhaps you normally would think.
Well, of course not. Yeah.
And that is why oftentimes you need someone else to come in, because it's overwhelming. It could be so overwhelming for too many that think of how to end it, how to end their lives. For anyone who doesn't understand that, you may try to have an idea of it. You will never truly understand. You can try, but think if you have a friend or a family member, a loved one, that is actually contemplating ending it. It's too much. They can't take it anymore. Are they thinking, I hate to use the word thinking straight, but is it not obvious they need someone else to come in and help? Because they're not in the mindset of saying, well, I'm thinking of killing myself, so let me make an appointment. Let me look up a therapist. Let me Google somebody and see if I can find. A lot of times, they don't want to deal with any of that. They're done.
Yeah, but I want to touch on the fact that if that person that is having those thoughts, if you're having those thoughts and you don't have somebody, if you don't have the family or friends, you don't have the acquaintances, there is help. There's always help for you.
Yes, there is.
Right? So it's very important that we touch on that, because not everybody has family and friends. You may have an acquaintance, but they're an acquaintance and you're not comfortable talking to them, and for whatever reason, but there is always help.
And there are support groups
everywhere.
But again, there are people that are in the situation, they're still in the mindset of, I'm going to look for help. Yes, and for those people that are there, they know they're struggling, they know they're battling, but they know, I'm going to look for help, I want to get out of this. But there are people that are too far gone for that. And they need intervention, they need help.
Yeah.
That could apply, as we mentioned before, to addiction. There are people that are addicted to drugs or alcohol, right? And they can go on their own and say, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to find help. And they'll find help without anyone knowing. They'll do it on their own. And then there are people that are so far gone in their addiction, in denial, that if people don't intervene, it could be too late.
Yeah, it can. Absolutely.
That's why, you brought up scenarios, I brought up scenarios. That is why I say this. You cannot just speak in general terms about everyone when it comes to a mental illness. Like, this is what you need to do. No matter who you are, your background, what you're going through, this is what you need to do. Yeah. Different circumstances for different folks. Everyone has their own situation. And that's why people need to get help on an individual basis. It's great to watch podcasts for information, things like that. But I could be speaking for my experiences, but it may not be someone else's experiences, or they haven't gotten to my point yet that I reached. so
I
they don't
definitely don't.
understand.
No.
I don't want anybody to get to the point
No.
that I've reached.
No.
That's the important thing. I don't want anybody to get to where I was and then say, okay, now I need help. No.
But if they ever do get to your point twice that you reached, and you don't have friends again, and you don't have acquaintances, you don't have anybody to talk to, you're not comfortable talking to that person, there is always an outlet that you can go to, which is, what was it, 800 number for a hotline? There's always something
There's suicide prevention.
that is there to help you. That is the main ingredient there.
And again, as I mentioned, also support groups. And the important thing to do too, if you can, if you know you're battling something, you know your life is changing, you know your thoughts are changing, you know
Declining.
you're no longer enjoying anything anymore. Don't wait for it to progress.
Exactly.
And get worse and worse and
Yeah.
worse, because the deeper the hole, the harder it is to get out of.
Yeah. Totally.
And as I've said, I've been rock bottom.
Twice.
Rock bottom. And I don't want anybody to get there.
Yeah.
For me, it was a different time. Today, we have information more available to us.
Yeah.
Mental illness is discussed more. We still
Way
talk,
more.
There's stigma, but to me, I think when you're talking about your mental health and your life, saving your life, your own life or a friend's life, quality of life, who gives a damn about what other people think? What's more important if you put things on a balance? My life or what this person thinks about what I'm going through? How about my life is more important
Yeah.
than what that person
Don't worry about what Steve Smith is thinking about. Worry about you.
Right. And that's what we need to do. But again, we need people to step in and help. It's first place to avoid someone getting to that so deep, so down, when you see them declining. Not wait until it's too late. Step in. And if you're someone going through it and you look at yourself, know yourself, and say, God, I look at myself today and I look at myself 3 months ago or 6 months ago, I no longer enjoy my life. I don't enjoy this. I'm not doing things anymore. I am shutting down.
A shot.
We can realize that about ourselves if we think about it, analyze ourselves. We don't have to be professionals to do it, but to know signs that things are not going right for me.
Yeah.
Get help sooner, not later.
Yeah.
To avoid getting so deep into it.
Downward spiraling.
I can honestly tell everyone, it is much easier to work on yourself when you start to see a decline than it is to change things when you've reached rock bottom.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Very,
absolutely.
very different.
Can be all. I'm going to say this though. Easier said than done for some people that are going through that at that time, because their focus is something completely different, because their mind is like completely different if they don't have the support.
Yes, it's completely different. It's negativity kicking in. And when it comes to
Themselves, yes.
when it comes to severe depression, I've always seen depression as evil. This evil that is just trying to destroy you.
It's a demon child coming to.
It's just trying to destroy us, and I've said this before for those that have not watched our podcast. Depression has all the patience in the world. Doesn't need to take you down today. Doesn't need to take you down 3 weeks from today. It could be a year from today. Depression has all the patience in the world. And if you give in, you can't. You just can't give in. And in today's world,
We have so many outlets.
with all the information we
Yeah.
have available,
So much.
where I remember when I was going through what I was going through, I didn't turn on the TV networks, the news networks, and hear about depression. It wasn't talked about.
Yeah.
It just wasn't talked about. Now,
Everywhere. Thank God.
not enough, but
It's out there.
of course the pandemic helped
Yeah.
to bring it
It
out
did increase
quite
it.
a bit.
It did increase it. The
I-
awareness.
I think what helped a lot too, maybe John will agree, with the Afghan war and the Iraq war, depression with veterans.
That was big. That was huge.
Brought up more discussion about depression and mental illness, which is all good.
Awareness,
that it's
yes,
discussed.
of course it is.
That it's discussed so people can hear it and, oh, they're talking about on it on network news, so it's not just me.
Because it's a real thing, yeah, absolutely.
Nothing to be embarrassed about, nothing to feel weak
No.
about. And I've always told people, too, you don't need to go tell your neighbors or people in a supermarket, hey, I'm battling this or I'm battling that. You don't need to do that, you know?
Well, hold on.
You really only need to discuss it with people that are important to you that will help you.
But
So-
I'm gonna piggyback on that. You don't know. You absolutely don't need to do that. But if you don't have an outlet of people that you can confide in, then if that's your resource, is your neighbor, then yeah, do it. Right? Do you agree?
If you have
if you don't have a
some
network
kind of a
friendship,
relationship, you have to have a
yes.
relationship with someone
Yeah.
so they even care.
Yeah, well, of course,
Right, if
just to
it's one-
notify them in case something
If
happens.
it's one of those neighbors that's throwing dog shit over your fence, no.
No, I'm not
you know?
talking about like
Well, you
crazy
need to
people that cause havoc.
you need to reach out to people that you have some kind of a relationship with,
Sometime.
so
Or
they
want
even
to
care. at
establish
least.
a relationship.
I mean, most people should have someone.
Hopefully.
I mean, sadly,
not everybody does.
Sadly, I don't know if it's sadly, it just is what it is. Oftentimes, you need to go outside of the family, which is fine.
Yeah.
Because
you do.
because in my opinion, what matters to me is bottom line
Yeah.
is getting results to help yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
And if helping myself means I have to go to a friend, not my family, bottom line is what matters.
you gotta go where you gotta go.
Not egos, not loyalties, not anything. Go to who makes you feel comfortable, that you trust,
And go to them.
that you know will help you, is there for you.
And it's okay.
And that's a
Nothing
beautiful
wrong.
thing.
Yeah, oh my God, yes.
And for anyone, a friend or a family member, like I said, as we want to reach out to, I mean, think about if you help someone's life, you help change their lives, help possibly save their life. Save their life.
Well, I had a lot of issues when my mom was diagnosed with Parkinson's and Lewy body. I had a decline in my mental illness, and he stepped up.
yeah,
he stepped up.
And it wasn't popular. I faced a lot of resistance, but I understood where her mindset was.
It wasn't good,
And I
but,
knew
you know,
I had to make decisions for her benefit. And here she is, she's fine.
and for a while I was declining.
Yes, you were.
And then
I
he
noticed
stepped
that.
up
I noticed
and
that.
he did what he had to do, and here I am. I'm happy as a lark.
But-
well, I mean,
well-
I'm not happy for my mom, but
Isn't it supposed to be happy as a clam?
I don't know. Well,
But
whatever.
But again, this comes down to this. The bottom line is getting results.
Yes, absolutely. And you can
That
get
is
them.
what matters.
You have.
We had a situation. It was a temporary, fortunately not permanent.
Yeah.
It was a fight. It was a struggle, but the result was positive. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
It was a positive result.
Sometimes you
That's
need to
what
rely on
matters.
somebody else. Ask for the help. Ask.
You didn't.
Reach out.
You
reach
didn't.
Out. Well, no, you did help me. No, but some people can ask. Some people do need to reach out. Some people just can't do
Exactly.
anything.
Because
There's all different realms of
because
people.
we cannot generalize.
Of course not. Of course not. Everybody's
Every
different.
situation
Is different.
Is different.
Yeah.
And that's why
And that's I'm
please-
thankful for you.
please get professional help for you. If you want to watch podcasts, you want to watch videos, you want to read, wonderful. But go get professional help if you need it. And if you have a friend or a loved one, and if you see that they can't, you please do it for them.
Yeah.
Help them.
Oh, please
Include
do.
yourself in the
Do it.
process of getting them help and helping them.
Step up.
Well, folks, thank you so much. We'll talk to you again soon. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate it. And
Take
you
care,
can visit
it's
our
cold.
website at depression-youarenotalone.com as well. And follow us on Twitter.
Take
Thanks
care.
so much, and be well, everyone.